Alrighty, so this is going to be as overview of the move-in process for fall 2022. So I'm going to start my screen share right now, and then I'll show you the steps on how to do it. So initially what we want to do is we're going to go to Mercury. Once you log into Mercury, you're going to make sure that you take out your exportable assigned list. So we're going to click that tab on the side for the exportable assigned list. Make sure it opens. And what this list is it's just all the students that will be moving in throughout the period of time of move-in. So it's going to have all 2,000 students. So once this loads, which it's going to take forever, we're going to export it as an Excel sheet. So once we export it as an Excel sheet, we're going to open it up, which I already took the time to go ahead and open up that Excel sheet. So you could see here, we would normally hit export, we'd export it, and it would just give us the Excel sheet, which I already have pre-saved here. That has all 2,000 students, as you could see. So on this Excel sheet, we have everything besides their move-in times, and that's because the move-in times change. So when we look at the sheet, we decided we need to go check out their move-in time, everybody's move-in times. So I prefer to do it by day. So what we're going to do is hit the FA 2022 move-in times only. And what this is going to do is just bring us to the specific student move-in dates. So now that we got that loaded, which is the page that we're currently on now, we're going to put 9/18/2022 into this slot start. And from here, it will load up all the students that are moving in. So we have 270. So at this point, just make sure you export the list the same way that we exported the other list. And you're going to see it gives us this. So it has their slot starts as these hashtags. But what we want to do is we want to right click and format the cells, because it's just that the cells are formatted incorrectly. So what we're going to do is change it, hit date, and then change it to this one here. And you will see all the cells will say 9/18 and some variation of it. That's because we are making the move-in sheets for 9/18. All right, so now that we have both of those together, we're done with Mercury for now. We want to place them side by side. And what we're trying to do is simply get the move-in times that we see here onto the other document where it has the everything else that we need for the student. So this one here has everything included in their PO box. So we want to get it to where they each take up half the screen. Here we go. And then expand it. There we go. So this special code that we're going to be using is actually going to be available to you inside of the High Operations OneNote. So you'll see underneath the procedures for move-in fall 2022, you'll be able to see this code. But what we're going to do is we're going to actually make one of the columns a slot start column. So slot start. There we go. So then now what we're going to do is pull the data from here. So we're going to pick this empty cell here in the J2 spot, just because that's going to be the first person we're going to pick. And what we're going to do is we're going to hit the equals, I hit plus, equals index, which again, this formula is going to be on the High Operational Procedures manual. So we're going to pick the whole row of the start times. So we're going to highlight here. So as soon as we highlight it, it puts it in there. So at this point, we have that row highlighted. We're going to copy, and then we are going to match. So what we're saying is in this row, we're trying to match the PID. So since we're on this one particular person, Carla, we're going to hit her PID. And the PID is going to get matched. So whatever is in this slot. oops, I just realized the formula messed itself up. So let me backtrack on that. Sorry about that. So the formula we were using, as I quickly go over, is equals index, and then you hit the parenthesis. We go to this other sheet that has the slot starts, highlight it. Now we have the slot starts. Now we're going to match. And then what are we matching? We're matching the, again, what is inside of Carla's, we're matching Carla's PID here, which puts it as space A2. And we're actually going to have it sift through the PIDs of the other sheet that has the slot starts. So pretty much what it's going to do is it's going to pull the PID, based on the PID, pull it and match it with the other one. So it looks kind of weird, but as soon as we do that, it's going to highlight it. The formula disappears every time, so don't be afraid of that. We're just going to follow the procedure. So then we're going to put comma 0, and then we're going to put another parenthesis there, and then one more parenthesis. So as soon as we hit enter, that formula goes in there, and it says NA just because Carla is actually not moving in on the 18th. So that's why it says NA. But in order to get this to work for the rest of them, we're just going to highlight this box here, or and then hit this plus arrow in the bottom corner. So once you see there's a green box around it, you hit the plus arrow in the bottom corner, and we're just going to drag it for all 2000 students all the way to the bottom. So what it's going to do is apply that same formula to the list of students that we have already. So we see there, and again, there's a lot of NAs because those students are not moving in on that day. But then we also see these random coordinates. And in order to change these random coordinates, we're going to do the same thing like we did before and format the cells to do the date and the time the way that we prefer it. So we have it here, the date and the time. And now you can see the people who are moving in on the 18th do not say NA, which is what we want. So I'm going to maximize the screen now so we can see it all. So now the next part we have to do is how do we get rid of all the NAs? So at this point, we're going to hit the slot start and we're going to filter. So what we're going to do is we're going to filter it out. So when you filter, you're just literally going to hit sort and filter, hit the filter button. I undid the filter, but what I'm going to do is show you how to do it again. Hit the filter button and it gives you this arrow. We're just going to unselect NA because we don't want those ones. And just like that, it has everybody who is moving in on the 18th. So at this point, what we do is we're going to copy this all, just because we need to copy it into a new sheet because the formula is still applied to the slot start row. And if we get rid of the other document, it's just going to mess up. So we just only want to take this information and copy it onto a new sheet. So there we go, new one. And we simply just paste it. Again, how do we do this? Highlight the row, right click it, format cells, date and time. And as we do that, you can see there's the date and time, the way that we like it. So that is that step. So now what we want to do is we want to save it as, so we want to save it to our downloads, and we just want to call it move in, and then we want to put the date, so like 9/18/2022. So now that's saved. So now that we're working with this document, we can close up the other documents because they're no longer of use to us. So we're not going to save them because there's no point. So they're not of use to us. Oops. Yes, so then here is our document that has only the folks that we want. And to double check that we actually have the right amount, we used the formula correctly. We saw that it said 270 students and it says 271 here. So of course we have to account for the top row of the titles. So that means that we did it correctly. So now that this document is here and it's saved, what we're going to do is, there it is move it into our G drive. So again, it's on this PC to our G drive. Oops. I did it incorrectly, so let me go back to the downloads. So on the side here, we're just gonna make sure that we get into our G drive and put it in the right spot. So G drive, conference, hospitality information, and then move-ins and move-outs. So once we do the move-ins and move-outs, we have the fall 2022. Just drag it on down to the fall 2022. And there we go. The document is now in there. So the document we are currently on is the one that's in the downloaded files. So we want to X out of it. Don't really save it because it's already saved into our other documents. So we could actually delete these because there's no point to having them anymore. This is another step, but I mean, I just delete them for myself because I don't want to see them anymore. So now that they're deleted, we're going to go to the fall 2022 one. And here, let me see. Give me 1 second. So once we go to fall 2022, we'll see the move-in doc here. So give me 1 second. I'm going to take 2 seconds to pause the recording. Okay. So now that we're back, we're going to continue the process. So now that we have the sheet, we're going to open it up, the one that's inside of the drive, and we're going to rename. Actually, before we do that, we're going to look at our 2022 labels template, as it has a template for how we're going to format everything. So one thing to look at the way that the labels template is it has the PID, the last name, the preferred name, the bed space, slot start, and PO box. So all these titles, they need to look exactly the same on our document here. So from the start, we can see that the PO box title on the move-in labels literally just said PO box. So we're just going to delete the 2022, 2023 because there's no point for that. Same thing for slot start. Looks good to go. So all the titles look the same. One thing I would say to be aware of is sometimes, like if you put a space right after it and you do that, there's still technically a space in the name. So we want to make sure everything is corresponding to the move-in label here and with the titles here. So we have PID, last name, preferred first name, and then PO box is one of the rows we're pulling from. Again, we're not pulling from every single row because we don't need their phone numbers or their emails or things like that. But just the rows that we do have, we want to make sure that they have the same exact data within them. So looks like we're good to go. So make sure you save this document once everything is accurate. This document is good to go. So now comes to the mail merging. So once we do the mail merging, we're going to copy this. Oh, with enable editing. So sorry. Enable editing. I'm not too sure what this is. I usually just X out of it, just because I'm not too sure what that means. But anyways, so getting back to this, we're going to go to mailing, and you're going to select recipients. We're going to use an existing list. And the existing list we're going to use is the one that we created. So again, it's there, and then in conference, set up conference, and then we have hospitality information, move-ins, move-outs, and then under fall. So the one that we want is here is our move-ins for 918. So they're right here, the move-in 918 file. So we're gonna open that puppy up. But so normally I would open up the file and just upload everything into here. But for this year, we're not doing it by rooms, we're doing it by alphabetical order. So one caveat for this year that I would say that we need to make sure we do is we want to do the last names in alphabetical order because that's the way that makes it easiest for us to put IDs into the packets and as well for 6ResLife to help that out. So before we start the mail merge process, I'm sorry, I'm backtracking a little bit. We want to make sure that we filter and sort. So we're going to do the last names in the same way that how we filtered and sorted out the NAs, we're going to just filter and sort, but we could actually sort A to Z. So now that we've sorted A to Z, all the names and everything are just in alphabetical order. So that makes it so when we make the labels, it's just transparent, putting them onto the labels and then going from there and putting in the student ID cards. So here's the next part, is taking the time to do that. So now that the document has been saved and with the names in alphabetical order, the titles are good at the top. We are gonna, oops, sorry about that. We're on the Word document, mail merge. So we're gonna select choose from an existing list. And back to the step we were kind of on before. We are gonna open that up. Again, hospitality information, move-ins, move-outs. And inside of here, you have the move-in for fall 2022. Move-ins 9/18. And this is the sheet that we want. So now it's took it all and has merged it onto here. So the next and final step we have to do is start the merge. Oops, sorry, why did I do that? I meant to finish and merge. And we want to do edit individual documents. So we want all. So now it's going to format it in alphabetical order and with all the information correctly placed in there. So with this template document, we're actually really lucky in that the template document will just simply hit print as long as you have those, as long as you have these labels, the empty labels in the side tray on the printer, and they will just print in alphabetical order. So that is how we go from start to finish with getting those labels going. At this point, you could stop the video and start that process if you would like, but I am going to continue talking a little bit about how we do the, once the labels go onto the envelopes, what we put inside of the envelopes. So here we go. So based on our move-in sheet, everybody will have this open for the move-in for the particular day when we start the move-in labels. And what's going to happen is we're going to put in, of course, we're going to put in their PO box slip, which their PO box is located here. And we're going to put in, so when you do the PO box slip, this is how you do that. We see their PO box slip, so we need to go in to the G drive again, inside of our conference, hospitality information. And then this is mailroom. So inside of here, we have our combos. So it just literally has every single combo that you would need. And somebody has it open currently, but here we go. And you can just find out the corresponding combo that goes with it. So that goes in every single packet. We want to make sure that goes in every single packet with the correct code. Next part is determining whether they need an ID or not. So here we have an example. So SUN means new student. If it's a new student, we want to make sure that it has an ID with it. Just because they're new to campus and they don't have an ID before. So we want to make sure that we either have the ID for them, which we receive a box of IDs days before that has every single student that will be moving in. We want to make sure that we have an ID for them. And if we don't, it means that they never submitted their picture. So at that point, we would make them a temporary ID. So we would do the temporary ID almost as if it was their real ID, just because there will be no cards registered to their account yet. So keep that in mind. If they're a returning student, we may have an ID for them if they resubmitted a picture or did something like that. So confirm that they don't have an ID. But if they end up not having an ID, we don't need to put any form of temporary ID in them. This is because 6ResLife will actually take the time to re-encode their current ID card. So that's the indication of what goes in there. Last but not least, we just have to put the key for the bed space. And the key for the bed space, you can find it on the key ring. And we want to make sure that we're updating our key log. So whoever you're working with that day, make sure they take the time to move keys in, on the key log to in use, just so we have record that the key is put into one of the packets. But that was a quick overview of how we do move-ins. And I am turning it into writing very soon, but look at this video if you ever have any questions. Thank you so much for watching.